We're so very happy to have our pastor with us today, and we certainly will enjoy his message. And I want to truly wish all of our mothers a wonderful, happy, nice Mother's Day. God bless each of you. Pastor Wright, the time is yours.
While people are transitioning from the pulpit to the pew, I'd like to reach out to the pew to the pulpit. Being a school teacher for more than 30 years, I'm going to do an educational approach this morning. I need 2 volunteers to come up. Well, if there's no volunteers, I'll have to appoint someone. I need Brother Athens, come on up. Brother Andrew, come on up. That's what we do at school. If there's no volunteers, we just appoint individuals to come up and help with the ministry. Come on up from the pew to the pulpit. Happy Sabbath, happy Sabbath. These brothers are going to be telling you what Mother's Day means to them.
Morning.
Good morning,
Sabbath. When I think of Mother's Day, first of all, my mother's passed. But I can see, you know how you're going about your day and you capture moments. And I can see my mother in every mother. Like when a mother's nurturing her child, or when there's a tragedy and the mother is there. And that's what, when I think of Mother's Day, I think of not only my mother, but how God has blessed us all with mothers. Because there's nothing like a mother. Fathers are good, fathers are strong, but thank God for mothers.
Amen. Thank you, brother.
I remember my mother having passed away many years ago. First I lost my dad, and then my mom. And I've come to love her even more so today than when she was here. Many times in life, even as young adults, we don't realize what we have until we no longer have it. One incident in our family's life was my mother lost her first child, my little brother, Gene. And Gene was born sick and sickly, had muscular dystrophy. He died a little after age 5 from pneumonia. My parents had taken him to many hospitals, spent a considerable amount of money, but at the time there was very little that could be done. And I was in her womb at the time my little brother passed away. I never knew her son, rather. I never knew my little brother, but Mother would often tell the story, and this is how loving mothers can be, of our keen and unique relationship, because he was bouncing, I was bouncing against her belly, I should say, as she held my brother. And I've wondered if there's some kind of unique mystical connection. For those who are put off by the word mystical, it's the only convenient term I could find to describe such a thing. Today, when I look back on life with Mother, I see a woman that was strong, determined, of good Irish stock, not intimidated, not afraid, and ready to go forward with the difficulties of life. And she did that. I'll never forget Mom. And every Mother's Day, as much as I love my wife and my daughter and the other mothers in my sphere of influence, there's one mother that I never hesitate to shed a tear over and think about and dedicate some flowers to, and that is Ruth Ellen Callahan Thompson. God bless all of you mothers here today, and the mothers that made it possible for you all to be here.
Amen.
Thank you, brothers. like the educational approach?
Yeah.
Do we have any more volunteers?
I'll volunteer.
Come on up.
Well, it's been many, many years since I've seen my mother. She passed in 1977, so the last Mother's Day I spent with my mother and gave her anything was Mother's Day 1976. It's a long time ago. That's 42 years ago. My mother had a lot of clever sayings, and I still remember them. Back when I was a little boy, my favorite thing to drink was orange soda. Any of you ever had orange soda to drink? And it cost a dime. Do you remember when it cost a dime? And some of you are old enough to remember when it cost a nickel. But anyway, I used to ask my mother for a dime. And sometimes she'd say yes and give it to me. Sometimes she'd say no. And sometimes she'd add this little phrase when she'd give me the dime. She'd say, remember, it doesn't even cost a dime to be nice. And sometimes she'd even add a second phrase to that. She'd say, remember, it doesn't even cost a dime to be nice, but it can pay rich dividends. And another thing she used to always tell me was, if you have something that belongs together, just keep it together. When I showed her I only had one mitten. Eventually she took a long piece of yarn and put those two mittens on that long piece of yarn and fed it through my sleeves so I wouldn't have just one mitten. And the other thing that she would say so often was, I don't want flowers at my funeral. If anyone has any flowers to give them to me today when I can enjoy them. I want to see the flowers. I want to enjoy the flowers. I want to smell the flowers. And the other thing that I remember about my mother is she didn't care for sweets. She took after her grandfather that way. And her own mother, if my mother told her something tasted just right, some dessert or something like that, my grandmother would automatically add 2 teaspoons of sugar before she even tasted it, because she knew what my mother liked. So enjoy your mother. Enjoy your family. These are the days that memories are made of. Thank you. And I'm going to ask on the pastor's behalf, who else would like to be a volunteer today?
Right here.
I think I see one coming up the aisle.
Here's one right here.
And here. So we've got one right here.
So, happy Sabbath, everyone. Happy Sabbath. And happy Mother's Day. And well, even though I haven't been in this world that long, I'd like to thank my grandmother who passed away last year, and my mother. My grandmother, she was a very good educator, and she wasn't too strict, but she was strict when needed to be, and she educated my mom very well, who educates me very well. And I really tell Lauren that we should always thank your parents we should thank your parents on that day, not at the funeral.
Amen.
And I want to say that everyone here should appreciate the mothers and be glad that you still have your mothers and grandmothers and your whole family.
Amen.
Happy Mother's Day and Happy Sabbath. It's not enough we keep saying Happy Mother's and bless each of mother's heart. As you look in a testimony of my mother, this is my first year, the year of the Mother's Day after my mother passed away. It's very sad she's not here with us, but actually she left so many things, especially as Luke mentioned about education. As the direct kingdom, direct family and kingdom family, she educates lots of things. Even though her body is gone, actually her spirit is still stay with us. So when I think over how she had done, is nothing any word can compare to mothers, their heart. How can we express it? Like the sky and to the ground or the widening of the horizontal of the ocean. How can we compare it? So we always thank the mother. Thank you very much, each of mother again. Thank you, Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody. You know, I could take hours to talk about my mother, but I won't. But I owe my very life to my mother and to God. I wouldn't be here today if my mother hadn't spent hours and hours and hours with me. I had to learn to walk over again after being ill and in bed for 2 years. My mother would take me out in the buggy that we had for children, for babies, and she would just massage me out in the sunshine and try to get my legs to spring back out so that I could walk again. My mother is the mother of 7 children, and during all those many years that I was so ill, my mother still had to care for the other children and to care for the home. My father was not an Adventist until I was 17 years old. And so my mother was the one who led us to God's throne. And we spent many, many, many Sabbath evenings, Friday evenings, gathered around the piano as my mother played the piano. And I have to say that it's thanks to my mother that all of her children remained in the church and have been active Sabbath keepers all their lives. I love my mother dearly, and I lost her in 1983, a long time ago. I had just started a new job, and it was very hard for me. I had to go to work when I wanted to cry. It was not easy because I loved my mother. She spent nights, many nights, sitting beside me, not getting her sleep, but rubbing my stomach until I wore out 2 pairs of pajamas just from her massaging my tummy. And so I could go on and on, but I do have many memories of my mother. And I know you do too. And I stand here today because of her. And so I just wanted to share that with you this morning. I could tell you many experiences.
Amen.
Happy Sabbath, everyone.
Happy Sabbath.
Sometimes when we're busy around the house, we don't really notice how much mothers do for us, how much they care for us, and all that they do to help us. And so, all I just want to say is, without mothers, we wouldn't even be here right now.
Amen.
Without mothers, who would help? Who would take care of us? Who would be cooking us food? Who would tell us that ice cream is not good for you in the morning? All I just want to say is, respect your mothers, because they're always good to you.
Amen.
Wonderful, what you said, appreciate that. I had many mothers in my life, and two were very much praying mothers. When I was young, at the age of 3, and I have an older sister and an older brother, another older sister. Mom was in the rest home or infirmary, wherever it might have been, and all we could do is look through the window at her because she had tuberculosis. And she would pray for each one of us. And she says, I know the older 3 are going to be fine. But my little Melvin, I don't know what's going to happen to him. He's so young. And she prayed that the Lord put his blessing upon me. And he has. He has very much done it through many people, many influences. The second mom is Marge McCoy. Came to her house to live when I was 15. A big, heavy woman, but lots of love in her heart for kids. They raised 9 children. And she had to coach me in the house because I didn't want to go in because this was the 3rd foster home. But she went out of her way, made a special meal for me. The rest of the family had their own meal. And she just loved her kids. And when we go to bed, she goes around to all the kids, even the teenagers, and tuck us into bed and have prayer with us. And she was a woman that touched the hearts of many men and women, even this community. I remember Pastor Wright meeting her.
Amen.
And I give credit to Mom McCoy for influencing me to go into Walla Walla. And going to Walla Walla changed my life, just like Thomas' boys. Our education system is very important. The little decisions that we make as parents can influence our children for the rest of their days. And I'm thankful for a very, very loving mother that I've experienced. And now she's passed away, but her memory still stands in my mind. Thank you.
Amen.
I want to give all honor to God first and most of all in my life. I heard all these stories and I just wanted you guys to know the other side of the coin and a way to speak. I became a mother when I was 17 years old. The year prior I was crying for mother alive. Baby alive. I had a mother. I had a foster mother. I was emancipated at the age of 17. I remember grabbing my mother's hand and putting it through my hair. I wanted to know what I many times saw on mothers hugging their children and walking them and taking care of them when they were hurt. But I thank God for my grandmother. My grandmother taught me about the Lord. He has been my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, closer than any friend. Yes. I just wanted to thank all the mothers here today because, like the brother said prior, I had many mothers. And I thank God for them because mothers that are mothers need to know that there's a lot of us that need you. that need just a touch, a motherly touch, or a motherly word. And then I see those that didn't care. I became a foster mother, a child care provider, and the one thing I taught them is my grandmother taught me, that there is a God. Just like Peter, when the storm gets really bad and you can't see him, know in your hearts that he is not. He's close, he's by, he's there.
Yes.
And you can talk to him at any given time. Thank you all for your time.
I understand what you're saying. I'm emotional about this because I was the eldest when Mother died. There were 4 of us, myself and 3 sisters. I was 12. My 89-year-old sister was 9. My 85-year-old sister was 5. My 80-year-old sister was just an infant. Because I told you it was 79 years ago. Just an infant. I have placed in my memoirs everything that I can remember about my mother.
It's all right. It's all right.
I'm really a tough-hearted, mean-old Norwegian Hollander, Dutchman, and I can be as hard as hell, and I can be as loving as a woman. I got that blend in me, and I can't help it. I admit it. I can fight like a warrior, and I can love like a woman. I put all in my memoirs. I put everything I can remember about Mother, so my 80-year-old sister, who never knew Mother, can have some hope of what her mother was like. So I put down everything that I could recall about Dwayne being told to do something by Mother, and the good things she did for the family, and the strength that she was in the larger family, because our family would meet and they'd come from Wisconsin, come from all over Wisconsin, Minnesota, and we'd have Mother's Day and any of the Christian holidays and spend it gloriously. The baby didn't know it, Anita Anderson Silvestri, and she has an emptiness in her life that is difficult for her, and it's probably most difficult for me because she's missed everything that I've learned. I just thank God.
As I reflect on mothers who lost children to death, I'm reminded of Jesus approaching a little country village, seeing a funeral procession exiting town as he's entering town. And he says, "Stop!" And he touches the coffin.
Amen.
And says, "Young man, get up." He's promised to wipe all the tears from our eyes, for there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. Our text this morning is found in Proverbs chapter 31. If you have a Bible, open to Proverbs chapter 31. And as you look for chapter 31. It's the very last chapter of the book of Proverbs. And we're going to look at verse 30. Proverbs 31, verse 30. Charm is deceptive, and beauty disappears. But a woman who honors the Lord will be praised. You've heard praises this morning. Our sermon title today is Anna Lee. Anna Lee is a good old name, one that will never go out of style. Anna Lee is a timeless kind of a name, sort of like Anna Mae or Annabelle. Anna Lee has the same ring like Annalisa or Annie Marie. Annie Marie was my mother. That was her name. Anna was religious. She would attend camp meeting. The pastor said she was a religious fanatic. Kind of off-balanced. Her husband was a very wealthy man. His influence was extensive. Anna's faith in God was admirable. But what was most remarkable about Anna was her devotion as a mother. The household routines that many mothers get tired of fulfilling, Anna, on the other hand, found those chores rewarding. Anna's prayer as a mother was, Lord, teach me how to raise my child. What greater aspiration and challenge are for a mother? No greater challenge than the hope of raising a great son or daughter. Another Anna, Anna Jarvis, was the one that Tom mentioned, who observed the first Mother's Day on her own, wanting to celebrate her own mother that had passed, believing that other people would like to share her feelings. She began to lobby across the nation to get the attention of the whole country concerning the need for a Mother's Day. And finally, 6 years later, Congress affirmed that by the signature of the President of the United States, Mother's Day became a reality. W.L.L. Caldwell wrote in 1928, we pay honor to mothers who, after Jesus Christ, is God's best gift to men. Her arms become our refuge and stronghold. But best of all, she taught our baby lips to lisp the name of Jesus and told us first the wondrous story of a Savior's love. He went on to say there are other mothers like Jezebel of old, mothers who sell their children into sin, but Anna was not like one of these mothers. Actually, Anna was only part of her name. The Bible calls her Hannah. She's a good example for all mothers who experience problems too difficult to face. Instead of relying on their own resources, Hannah teaches us to turn to God as our only solution. Godly mothers are women of prayer. Hannah raised Samuel to be a man of prayer.
Amen.
Her life was an example of how prayer works. Hannah prayed that Samuel's life would be pure and noble and true. She earnestly pleaded with God that he would not attain worldly greatness, but the kind of greatness that heaven values. The honor of God that brings a blessing to others. Thus the child Samuel grew both in favor with God and in favor with men. Mary, The mother of Jesus was that kind of mother. Luke 2:52 reminds us Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. An increase in wisdom, that's intellectual growth. Stature, physical growth. Favor with God, that's spiritual growth. Favor with man, social growth. What a balance. But Lee, on the other hand, Lee is another story. She was a mother from a troubled background. She came from what we call a dysfunctional family. But God's mercy can also be found in messed up families. A dysfunctional family often includes conflict, misbehavior, abuse. Lee's family was very dysfunctional. Lee had been victimized. Her father didn't think very much of her. He made a deal with a man, sold her for a favor. Can you imagine how Leah must have felt as she was getting ready for her wedding night, knowing that she was about to be married off as a joke? After waiting all her life to be loved by a man, now her husband didn't want her. He was after her younger sister. Jacob didn't really see Leah, but God did. And God sees you, and you, and you. You're not invisible to God. You're not unknown to Him. He still has a plan for your life. Genesis 29 tells how Leah suffered for so many years, feeling unloved compared to her younger sister. But God chose Leah when He was looking for an ancestor, for the priesthood, for church workers. Leah's son, Levi, was a direct ancestor from whom the priests and the prophets descended. Moses, the prophet, was from the tribe of Levi. When God was looking for an ancestor for the kings of Israel, He chose Leah. Her son Judah was to be the direct descendant for the kings of Israel. The line of David is from the tribe of Judah. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the lawgiver from between his feet. And lo, Leah's line of Judah, through this line, the Messiah. Leah was an ancestor of Jesus Christ. This is how our God remembers unloved mothers. When God had been looking for an ancestor for Jesus, He selected Leah. What a blessing a mother can be, a gift of love for eternity. There's no blessing quite so dear as a mother like you to love year after year. Happy Mother's Day.
Amen.
May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make His face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may the Lord lift up His countenance upon you and give you peace now and forever. And the people said,
Amen.